I tell you that I want you to buy a bracelet from a brand called Le Tresora or a brand called Muhammad, you definitely will feel like Le Tresora is a more international brand. So there is still a psychology of picking the name, a psychology of knowing how to actually create a trademark. There's still a psychological effect on what sounds nice to the ears. And then when you're being seen as a brand, you have to think as a brand. Most of the people are too consumed to look cool as other brands, do a nice photo shoot, do a nice campaign on Instagram, and this doesn't make a brand a brand. In fact, I'm not even following some of the biggest brands I like, but I'm still a user of their brand. So actually, it's not about trying to look nice. It's about understanding what matters to your clientele. So for example, if Rana is my client and I'm trying to, is a potential client, I'm trying to acquire her, I need to speak her language. I don't need to speak my language. So people are generally, they're so into the passion of creating this story of the brand and the brand name. And do you really care what this product mean? You don't. Do you care what does Bershka mean? No, you don't. Do you understand what Audi means? No, you don't. Stop being so invested over the creativity of picking such a nice name. Instead, invest in having your own exclusive domain, your own exclusive brand name. Does any of the brand names around you mean? You don't, but you have a certain expectations of it.
This is Let's Make Waves podcast. I'm your host, Rana Al-Basri Marwad, and I believe that we're all here to make waves. I created this podcast to help you build your brand by sharing with you tools, resources, and strategies to gain professional authority for better business opportunities. If you want to get unstuck, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Make Waves podcast with me, Rana Al-Basri Marwad. This week's podcast episode is different. It's something you haven't seen me do before. As you will see, this week, what I'm doing is that I'm letting you in on a conversation. I've been planning this conversation with Mo for ages. Our calendars always clashed. The time difference between Egypt and Canada didn't help. And of course, life happens. So it was super important for me to want to share with you this conversation because I wanted you to listen and to see more of his perspective, his expertise, his valuable experience. So we made it happen, even if it meant to record in a car. Yeah, you've heard it right. It was necessary for me to do this conversation. So yes, we've recorded in a car, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this conversation, especially if you are in the luxury market or you're working on any kind of luxury brand of some sort. My guest this week is Moe Samman. He's a luxury brand consultant based out of Egypt. He's the co-founder of Longe Black, a luxury branding firm. He's an entrepreneur, an educator, a philanthropist, but most importantly, he is a disruptor. And I'm saying this because he's done a lot of fantastic things. You're going to get to hear it from him in this conversation. He has built a very successful firm, Longe Black, and building on that success, Muhammad, what he's done is that he has expanded his entrepreneurial venture by co-founding Lxias. And Lxias is a consulting firm, and this move is actually positioning him as a pioneer in the luxury consultancy space, not just in Egypt, but in the Middle East as a whole. I wanted to let you in on this conversation because Moe Samman is someone who is celebrated for his capacity to elevate local brands to international market in a record time. His success stories with Longe Black illustrate his exceptional talent in brand development and market expansion. I won't keep you waiting any longer. Listen to my chat with Moe Samman, and I hope you enjoy this discussion. Moe Samman, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to the podcast. We've been working on it for ages, so I'm so excited that it's finally happening. I wanted to start with something that I experienced from you. So if someone asks me, like, who is, or what agency is the best agency or the best person, the best expert when it comes to positioning a brand, especially when it comes to the luxury industry, you are honestly the only person who comes to my mind. I love how you have a very clear mission of taking local products to become global, international brands. You really have lived by that mission, and it's not something that is just. I don't see you as a person who's an expert in the luxury branding market just for Egypt. I can dare to say for the MENA region as a whole. So thank you so much for being here. And I want to start from there. What exactly differentiates a brand when it comes to luxury branding? How is luxury branding different from any typical branding that we read and see and know about when we see on social media?
First of all, it's an honor to be with you. It truly has been such a roller coaster, but it's an
Yes.
honor to be here. We prize ourselves, or actually, we're proud. First of all, to say we've been humbled to see so many luxury brands operating in Egypt. We were trusted by some of the big names for the past 5 to 7 years, and something has been always striking to us as local consultants: the amount of details that these brands spend to make sure that their branding, their positioning, their equity is done right has been mind-blowing. In fact, it has been so interesting to the extent that we started asking ourselves, is it possible to create the same exact experience on a local level? So it has been our go-to mission to start analyzing the difference between positioning a product, knowing the behavior of your customers on a local to global level, and from a commercial to luxury level. So when you talk to someone local, for example, if I'm talking to you, Rana, and I tell you, how do you feel about owning a Rolex? You tell me it's a dream watch. I tell you, but what makes it a dream watch? Is it the quality of the watch? You actually couldn't care less. I can get you a nice operating Casio, and you still wouldn't want to have it as a dream watch. You tell me it's a wise. To me, it's a watch that reflects celebration. It's a watch that shows commitment for a dream, fulfillment of achieving a dream. It's beyond the product. It's about the experience I get through such product. And when we talk luxury, we're talking of selection of people who have certain behavior on picking what they want, picking what seems exclusive to them. So we don't think just product development, we think product positioning, how people are going to perceive it, how people are going to feel around it. So if I get you the most interesting looking new brand of an automotive brand versus a nice looking Rolls Royce, you're just going to say, just get me the Rolls Royce, because it has been working for year after year over their positioning, making sure that this is the kind of car you'd want to dream to be driven in, or actually being seen at in an event or somewhere across a hotel or whatever experience you've been going through. So when we're talking luxury, we've been humbled by seeing so much effort being spent in luxury brands into their businesses, and then we started designing our own methodology of it. So what makes me the local luxury brand competitor, brand claiming to have the same exclusivity or experience, and we're proud to be the only players that are truly invested in such a thing, and actually creating some of the biggest experiences around that. We were just celebrating with the president of Monaco Yacht Club over a showcase between a limited edition Himalayan Hermes collection with Livery and a collection of Rolex with a local brand called Konachi. It's an exclusive furniture, local Egyptian brand. So this merger of great experiences from local to global experience is such a harmony, and that's what makes it.
Here's the thing: you have been a rebel. You've really been a disruptor in the sense that you believe that there is room and there is potential in what we see today in terms of local brands and local production that happens, that is in the utmost quality, the utmost design, whatever it is. But it just needs the right branding for it to become at par with global brands. And you've been a disruptor in the sense is that you wanted to go against the grain for many years, especially, for example, in the MENA region where you are. For many years, we imported global brands. you were a disruptor years ago when you and your co-founder started Longe Black, where you're saying, no, we're going to turn that around and we're going to take local into global, and we have it. So what made you have that kind of commitment? I mean, to see it that way before anybody else saw it that way?
I was actually I lecture in the American University in Cairo. So I was in a lecture talking to a professor, and he was trying to have a healthy argument over does quality really matter. And I told him, I'll be honest with you. Honestly, if I get you a silk brand, an Egyptian silk T-shirt, and it's let's say it's a clothing brand, a sleepwear brand, would you still honor it and wear it as if it's a Tom Ford? And he kept on answering all the answers in the world except yes, I definitely sorry, no, I'd definitely never wear it. And when we reached to this conclusion, I told him what's missing. He said, "Hakisif ya Samman, I'll be shy to wear such brand because it's just not that good of a brand." I told him, if I get you a boxy car, a Chinese boxy car, for example, that looks like a Range Rover, would you want to drive the car? Would you care about the quality of the leather and all of this? He said, honestly, I wouldn't change my Bentley Bentayga. I wouldn't. I told him specifically, this is why it's different. You're trying to debate me over product quality, not over client expectation ladders and how people perceive the brand. So when we're talking luxury, what was actually different in our way of what was actually different in our way of perceiving local brands is, why not have a locally manufactured product packaged to the core with all the exclusive experiences you'd want in this box, and start exporting it. So how you have a Saudi Arabian factory exporting their products to Europe, not the way around. And at that stage, 6 or 7 years ago, people thought we were insane. I can promise
Yes,
you.
exactly. You were a disruptor.
We used to talk to people and go like, you want to get this brand here? No. Listen, I'll do you a challenge. And we used to do this. Actually, what's so ironic, yesterday I was in a meeting yesterday. So that's 7 years later. And we're talking for a competitor to one of the most luxurious gyms globally, a global or international gym brand. And I promise you, my pitch was, after I presented myself as a local consultant to the international brand, as if I'm an agent to them. 30 minutes into the pitch, I told them, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you something. Everything you've been seeing, all this great standard that you've been seeing is not an international brand, but this is a fully Egyptian brand. I promise you, for 20 minutes, they're trying to debate us back over our brand that it's not. So they're trying to convince us. We did the brand, so we know everything about it. So they kept on going Instagram to prove that it's international. We told them, listen, the trade name is ours, the brand name is ours, the website is ours. No matter what you want, you go research everything you want. This is a local Egyptian brand, and this is a fact. And we actually got the place, and it's so I want to say exhausting to try to go against the tradition or the norms, but still, it's extremely inspiring to see an Egyptian local brand. By the way, we just celebrated Bayrak, neighboring La Martina, Armani Cafe, Philip Lane, D Squared. So you have a local Egyptian luxury brand in the middle of the Italian luxury district in Egypt. And this, to us, is music to our ears. So being able to settle for such standard and have it not only do well, operate well, and now they're negotiating, actually expanding to the Middle East. So this is the kind of thing you want to... I want to say, be crazy enough to believe you can actually do it.
Exactly. And you were crazy enough, you and your partner, to do it. But here's the thing. So there has to be, of course, a certain standard of the product or the service. So we're not going to, this yes. We're going to put it on the side, because that's like, we need to take from that benchmark. So if today someone is a new founder, or a founder that has been in it for a few years, and they're still not cracking in, they're still not going through, what are the fundamental things for them to understand and to start working on when they want to position their brand, so their positioning, and when it comes to the whole building the brand story and understanding that this is where they need to start? Like what are the initial steps that they need to do?
When we usually I like when I give advice is not to have it so technical that it would be very limiting, but I'll talk
Yes,
on a
yes, of
general note.
course. Yes.
So I'll tell you simple statements. If I tell you that I want you to buy a bracelet from a brand called Lxias or a brand called Muhammad, you definitely will feel like Lxias is a more international brand. So there is still a psychology of picking the name, a psychology of knowing how to actually create a trademark. There's still a psychological effect on what sounds nice to the ears. And then when you're being seen as a brand, you have to think as a brand. Most of the people are too consumed to look cool as other brands, do a nice photo shoot, do a nice campaign on Instagram, and this doesn't make a brand a brand. In fact, I'm not even following some of the biggest brands I like, but I'm still a user of their brand. So actually, it's not about trying to look nice. It's about understanding what matters to your clientele. So for example, if Rona is my client and I'm trying to, is a potential client, I'm trying to acquire her, I need to speak her language. I don't need to speak my language. So people are generally, they're so into the passion of creating this story of the brand and the brand name. And do you really care what this product mean? You don't. Do you care what does Bershka mean? No, you don't. Do you understand what Audi means? No, you don't. Stop being so invested over the creativity of picking such a nice name. Instead, invest in having your own exclusive domain, your own exclusive brand name. Does any of the brand names around you mean? You don't, but you have a certain expectations of it. So you expect, for example, Red Bull to be such a bold brand. You expect Xerox to be such a complicated printing business, or printers brand. So you have specific approaches of people's behavior, and from there, this is where you start. So when you're about to feel for of a client, start knowing what matters to them. So if I have a C-class client, they generally care about the value of the products, the money they spend over the quantity they get. So if you get me better deal, better, if I buy a couch, I get a free chair with the deal. So they care more on the deal rather than the product actual quality. There's again bare minimum level of quality, but again, I mean, this is what appeals to them.
Yes.
So if you're talking on a luxury level, it's not really the quality as in the quality, it's the quality of experience you get. So I'm sure if I get you a Birkin bag, I'm definitely sure I got you a statement that will make you feel a better quality of acceptance from society, because they will perceive you as a rich woman. They'll perceive you as someone who's invested in her social status or class. So there's a certain psychology behind the collectibles and the art of collecting luxury products. So for example, I'm getting you a nice restaurant, if you see me tell you the detox water is a complimentary refreshing experience for your taste buds, you definitely expect me to be a luxury brand, not because the water is expensive. It's the idea of me getting you a water and not even being commercially interested or into trying to gain better monetary value from selling you the simple bottle of water. Then definitely this is someone who's talking luxury. So the more I show you that I'm invested in the pasta being handmade, the tomato sauce being designed or done to produced for it to taste perfectly balanced for your taste. But it's not about you actually enjoying the pasta. It's giving you so many stories that when you leave with your friends, you're going to go and tell them, you know what happened? I went to this place and they had this to me. You have to try it. And deep down, you know, it wasn't the most impressive pasta ever. It's just they gave me an exclusive experience that caters for my exclusivity or need of having a better presentation and experience.
Yeah.
So we generally advise people to invest more to cater for the needs of their clientele, specifically luxury clientele, rather than trying to just look posh or look good. Because again, it just doesn't go this way. People have behavior, cater for them.
Yeah, here's the thing. So what you're telling me is that the value of the luxurious value has to be in the value chain. It's like everything, the whole experience.
Definitely.
If it's a restaurant, it's from the music to the tablecloth to the plate to everything. When you're working on a client that comes to you, and this is what's really impressive, you've worked on multiple industries. You have not just fashion and jewelry, which would what everybody would expect from luxury, but you've worked in publishing, health services, education, construction, automotive, real estate, hospitality. I mean, when I think of construction, the last thing on my mind is luxury. But you were able to transform that company or organization into a brand that gives that luxurious experience. How does that happen? How does that transformation happen from taking once we understood the customer, but taking the customer's perception, like my perception of construction, into, oh my God, no, this is not what I know of construction. This is not what my initial belief is, let's say, of publishing. How's the transformation happens?
Let's talk about the construction, for example.
Yeah.
What you'd expect of me as an answer is, we made sure that they have so much visibility and they're trying to speak the language. Actually, this wasn't the case. One of the most booming industries in Egypt is the real estate business. And for that, you have to have solid construction backgrounds. You have to have aggressive construction tycoons to actually build your projects. So when you're talking of, for example, a million square meter land, you want to have a solid contractor to say that as a real estate agent, I'm getting the best
material thing.
Yeah, and the best contracting company to take over my construction. So now you understand the psychology of the people. So now, as a real estate developer, instead of just getting a boring company, I'm so detail oriented that even my construction arm, or the company I'm partnering with to build my project, is now branded. So now when you go in and you have the vests and everything, and the helmets are all branded, and the safety measures is done right, and you go take in a drive in the tour in your new Toyota Fortuner to take you across the site with a hassle-free soundproofing to the glass, and you have your own espresso shot and your chocolate ready. So now you're not trying to deliver just a project. You're showing off that even as a real estate developer, your contracting arm or partner in construction is so detail-oriented that you made sure that you get such a brand that you show off to the people who are actually buying their properties from you, because we sell off-plan in Egypt.
Yes.
Actually, I claim that even 90% of the real estate agents is off-plan. So we just get a piece of land and we say, you know what, we probably will deliver this in 4 years. You can start paying for your dream home. And so we're selling, it's a mini mortgage experience. So you just pay an installment fee for like 4 to 10 years. So it's a mini module of a mortgage as a concept. But if you thought about it, what makes it so unique and special is the idea that you have nothing to actually sell from day zero to their dream home. So it's a piece of land, and then you have your house. What's in the middle? You needed to create a luxury contracting concept for them to have a lounger and the caravans and the land where you go in and there's a carpet and the flags and getting everything ready. So even when we're talking on such a boring industry,
yes,
you can create different experiences. And this is a simple example for that.
I love that. And it's really important to think about, again, whether it's construction or anything else. You are asking your target audience, or the target customer, the potential customer, to really put a significant amount of money into this. So the delivery, it's not just based on the delivery. It's for me to, as the customer, for me to have complete trust in the whole experience, from buying it on paper to the day that I actually receive the house or the apartment.
Actually, Rana, this sounded incredibly insane to some of our clients when we started, because when you're talking branding, and I'm talking brand, my definition of branding, and I can promise you, is completely different than some of the branding agencies, because we're not an agency, we're a business branding firm. Some of our clients, I'm talking literally 6 years ago, would come to us and go like, yeah, but what are your metrics? Listen, the investor trust metric is enough. That people will still believe you. You're nothing. You don't have history. You have a piece of land, and people, actually, you're going to spend a lot to try to convince these people to invest in your property.
Yeah, and to see your vision, like this is what you're going to deliver.
Yes. So keep in mind user acceptance of the products, people investing the thumbs up. People investing.
It's because you're using an iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep in mind.
So instead of this, when we used to sign our contracts and we tell them something called investment trust, and they used to look at us and say, what? Your product seems trusted, and that's enough. That's enough of a product for you to look as a brand that people will invest in their money. And we're talking about when real estate in Egypt, some of the most, I'll say, respected segment in investment in real estate are expats. And I'm talking like يعني العكس اللي هو Egyptian expats اللي من برا. And that is something critical, because now these people, they have to, they're sending you everything they own, they're sending you all their savings. So having their trust is يعني, I don't want to say a game, but it's a strategy.
Of course.
It's not something that happens by coincidence. It's something you work on. It's a game of chess. You have to respect the process, and that's why we're that invested in this.
Yeah, and I love that. And you spoke about strategy, and it is in the core of the framework that you guys lead, in your industry. You make it so clear on the Longe Black website. You're like, this is what we do, and we're very clear about it. And for you, not just it's about identifying the problem, but it's by creating the right strategy that is based on insights that is concluded from certain types of research, where from there you do two types of execution. You have something called, which, by the way, as a person who graduated from advertising and marketing, these are new
terminologies.
New terminologies that you guys
Definitely.
really go in. You go into two types of executions. You have something called the visual execution, and you have something called the verbal execution.
Yes.
And that's later on, once all of everything is out, you believe that there should be continuous brand management.
Definitely.
So problem identified. And I believe the problem identified, you mean completely understanding who the customer is?
No, our biggest problem are the business owners. Because here's the interesting part. When people sit with us, they expect us to come and tell them how the market should be addressed. And then they get shocked with us telling them, you need to talk. Because definitely you think the problem is the people. Sorry. We believe the problem is you managing your own business. Your own vision of creating your own brand is corrupt. So, for example, one of our biggest success was a furniture brand. And they actually were producing the furniture for one of the most expensive hotels in Egypt. So he's doing already the job. So the guy is already producing the furniture. And then after they send the furniture to the hotel, they told them, you need to debrand. You need to take out your logo. It's not up to the kind of thing. So they have great product. You just don't have a good brand. They don't like it. So they asked them to send the same furniture, just take off the logo. And this guy is one of my closest friends now. But 2 years ago, he spoke to me and he told me, you know what? I think this is a bit too harsh on me. I can't believe I've been working for 40 years over a business. And there comes a day and someone tells me, your product is good, your brand just isn't. So do you think you can fix this? And I told them, listen, since this is a game of strategy, I want you to start investing in two things. First of all, you have great product, but you have terrible mindset. You're trying so hard to build the product. You're not trying so hard to build the brand that looks up to the expectations of the clientele you're trying to target. So if I'm trying to not have your local furniture brand like a Menotti or a Visionaire or whatever global brand, you have to start investing in your brand. And this is why this is the problem. He's not invested in the brand. It's not about the brand. And then he told me, you know what, I'll follow your guidance. But let's play this game of chess. And for the past year, we were collaborating with the biggest architects in the industry. We actually collaborated with the biggest architects in the industry. And we did a collection. We started doing the boat show I was telling you about with the president of Monaco and everything. But here's what's interesting. Do you know where his first revamped store is opening? In the biggest luxury district in this specific real estate developer, the guy that owns the hotel. So Bilbaladi, this guy told him 2 years ago, your brand isn't up to what we think is luxury. A year and 6 months later, he was signing the biggest location to
it's
have
like
his
full circle moment
to open his the first ever anchor, or they say a flagship store, to sell the biggest collection of luxury products as an exclusive luxury brand in Egypt. The brand's called Konachi. You can go check it out.
That's
so the whole
fantastic.
Point, yeah. So this is why I say, you see, when we talk design and when we talk, I'll say we don't say I know the action part and the design part, or the strategy part and the design part. You need to have a brand that speaks the language. So you want to have a visual language that caters for luxury brands, but you want to have a brand that is designed on an operation level to hire a new team, fire an old team, work on the product placement, work on the strategy, work on the actual sales, orient the sales, do a sales training, talk to the people, tell them how to sell the experience. You talk over a specialist that is actually designing the espresso with a plum flavor and espresso with mango flavor in the store. So you want to make sure everything is done right. So when you're picking your $50,000 setup for your house, your sofa setup, you definitely want to have a raspberry induced espresso, or you're talking with your husband over such a purchase. And this is exactly why we were so into creating this visual to business harmony, to have this kind of story 2 years later. And this is why it's a game of strategy, because if you don't have this vision, you'll just do a good brand, but you didn't want to settle for a good brand. You wanted to settle for a brand that's so good that you go back and open in the same exact location.
Exactly. And in this particular example, you definitely worked on the visual execution part, but you touched on few points that you gave in this example, touched on the verbal execution and touched on the collaborations that were happening with architects and everything. So in your opinion, how important is it to balance that kind of, because everybody would say, it's okay, I have a great product, look, high quality, I have the logo, I have the letterheads, I have the website, and they think that is a brand. But you were talking about something else beyond the visual. You were talking about the verbal execution and the partnership that happened. How can today founders balance between these two, where they know that we've got this part right, the visual part, but this is the part that the mindset need to be shifted?
What we do is we educate the clients. So a part of any business owner that actually is trying to evolve into having their own brand, they have to have this urge to always stay interested into the branding or business management field, because I always say, specifically in segmented businesses, not because you're a good architect it means you're going to lead a great architecture firm, and not if you're not a great dentist it doesn't mean you're going to own a great hospital. So there's a big part of them personally trying to have this interest into growing their businesses properly. And that's why you see someone, for example, in 2025 trying so hard to have such a detailed logo with so much story behind it, and you go tell them, do you know that everyone's debranding? BMW debranded, Lamborghini debranded, Saint Laurent debranded. Everyone's debranding. Everyone's going simple and minimal, and you're still so consumed to go against every single thing that makes sense in this market. And this is why it's not about trying to blend in. It's just being smart enough to be positioned between the people, yet standing out. And here's where it gets tricky, because people usually are so invested into, I like my logo, I hate Apple's logo, it's still the biggest technology brand in the world, just move on. It's not about how cool your logo is. It isn't about you liking it. It has nothing to do with liking it. In fact, I can barely even remember what Christian Louboutin, I have bad French, brand is, but I know the Red Soul. It's not about how cool you are, it's about how you stand out as a cool brand. So the same concept, it's not about having a nice identity, it's about having proper connection with the people who will give you money by the end of the day. So if you don't have something that caters for the people, I'll give you a very simple example. You know what was the biggest research and development task we had in Konachi? Having a factory so big, be able to tailor exclusive collections for individuals in the brand. So for example, what if someone doesn't even want the $50,000 couch, they want a couch setup, they want the $200,000 couch setup? How can you cater for such client? So I'm not even too busy trying to sell the $50,000 couch. I'm too busy trying to think, how would I ever be able to cater for a client that would want the $200,000 couch? So you're speaking their language. So now the guy is buying an exclusive marble engraving machine to have a marble chair where you're sitting in marble with luxury leather inlay, and so this level of with ostrich feathers, and it's a whole different level, I promise. And when you think of such details, this is what makes Konachi a concept that you'd look up to. It's not about, is the logo nice, is the logo not nice, what does Konachi mean as a brand? It's not about trying to have this commercial way of branding where you're trying to sell to the client the concept. In fact, here's, I think, the good advice I tell people specifically in this is domain. You're not supposed to impress your clients. You're supposed to make them brands. So I don't care if your clients hate you. I don't care if they love you. In fact, some of my clients, I tell them, listen, for the first year, I'm okay with you hating me. I'm okay with you saying I'm annoying. I'm okay with you saying I'm arrogant. I'm okay with whatever you want. I'm not okay with one thing. You tell me I did not make you a brand. If I fulfilled, I don't want to hear anything else. I'm okay with you not loving me, not wanting to be my friend. I'm okay with anything. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to make you powerful.
Yeah, I would never believe that would be the case, because I know for a fact that all of your clients became friends, at the end of it.
They eventually do. This is the whole point. This is the plot twist.
But here's the thing, Samman, you're touching on two things. What you're saying is, which is, by the way, if there's nobody that I've spoken with that says, oh, forget the brand story, let's focus, two things that you've concentrated on is the equity of course of the brand, and another one which is insane, having that you are a person in the brand and advertising industry as a whole. You're talking about psychology. Like, you're telling me everything now, and it's like, this is psychology. We're talking about human psychology, how to decipher how a human would think, and then do the strategy based on that thinking. And then you start using your tools, the branding tools that you have as Longe Black, or that comes from your experiences and expertise. But it starts, again, this is what we're talking about, human psychology. So is that a must? Do you think founders should, like, I don't know, take a course in empathy and human psychology? And
they should be invested. So it's either they take the course, they do the research, or they got someone to do it for them.
Yeah.
So it's, the whole point isn't trying to do everything on your own. It's not a one-man show. It's all I'm saying is, if you're ever hiring, even if you're hiring your cousin that just graduated, I'm saying if you ever trust someone into actually building your brand, you should know that they should be smart enough to be able to sell it. I don't care if how cool your brand is. I care for it if succeeding. I don't care if how much I find people whining over, do you know that Bentley and Bugatti are the same brand? They're both Volkswagen. I go, like, yeah, and do you know you'll never be able to afford one? So just, you can move on. It's fine. It's okay. You can talk all you want. You won't be able to afford one. Actually, I hope they do. The point is, it's just mocking that it's a Volkswagen brand does not change the fact that Bugatti is Bugatti. So
exactly. And if they had one parked outside their house, they'd be happy.
Yeah. That's exactly my point. So if you can't have the money, and actually this is specifically why when we talk of aspiration, which is psychology, again, being such an inspirational and having people, I want to say, looking up to or having you at the back of their minds as a dream brand, it really starts from being young. I remember my first love to BMW. It was my mom telling my father, I would wish we'd have one like a neighbor that was in the same street of our house. And then I remember the day he bought it. It was such an achievement that as a youngster, in my way of perceiving parents, I was mind blown. So maybe this is the success. If you ever drive one, you've made it, because this is
true.
How I've seen it. If it was such a boring, non-positioned as a trophy brand or something that's acquirable, I think probably I would have never had interest in it. And this is specifically why psychology is such a huge thing, because when you see a mini Birkin or a mini Kelly, and then if you see a mini toddler one for like a baby, no matter the price tag, you just feel like it's something you just want to get for a baby, because they play over this psychological thing of mothers and daughters and sons, and they play over how even the polarity, whole the duality of Rolls-Royce or Bentley, if you're going Apple or Samsung, this whole play of brands, it caters for your psychology, because in the end, it's either you're a quiet person or you're a loud person. It's either you're a night person or a day person, a winter person or a summer person. So even this duality, it has psychology. So the whole point, I like when someone fights with me, they go like, are you so happy with your Apple brand, for example? I go, yes, I'm so happy with it that I know they made you and me have this conversation. If it's Apple and Samsung, for example.
Exactly.
This is the whole point of having a brand. This is the whole science behind creating the brand. So when someone goes and debates, listen, it's Bentley and there's nothing else. There's no Rolls Royce. Bentley is the best brand. I smile and I say, good. I like this. I love what you just said. This is specifically what they're trying to do. it's either Ferrari or Lamborghini. I like this kind of role play, even if it's a triangle, by the way, even if it's a square, even if it's Mercedes or BMW or Audi or Porsche, depends on how you pronounce it. No, it still is the same concept. And actually, this creates competition, which made the German market such a great market in automotive. And this is specifically why, with branding and brands, you need proper competition. If you're the best brand owner in jewelry in Dubai and you have no one to compete against, you'll never become a brand. You need someone to compete against you.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And in your experience, Mo, how long does it take for you to create, like if you're a brand owner, how long for you would it take to create that kind of affinity in the customer for your brand? Isn't it a long-term game? I mean, this takes
such a
years.
tricky question.
I know, but I mean,
I'd say 3, 5, 7, and 11. I don't know why. I have no reason scientific even to say it. But from the people I've seen people start having initial equity in 3 years.
Yeah.
I've seen people actually have proper positioning in 5. I've seen people start being mature and evolve in 7. And I don't know why 11 sounds like such a lucky number. But I'll still go with some of the biggest local brands in Egypt that I've seen them do some imprints. Whenever I ask about the turning year where things have been different and a bigger scale, it's usually the 10th or 11th year. Like where I'm talking, we call it in the Egyptian market, tawahush. They became monsters. And this, this is the proper positioning of a brand. And by the way, or the dead time for the brand. So it's either, in my very humble opinion, it's where they go big or go home.
Yes. What do you think, now that you opened this topic, what do you think kills the brand? Like the death of the brand?
Bad mindset, terrible vision. Some of the biggest things people don't invest in is internal equity, which is internal branding. People learning your message, talking your language. When I talk about investing in your people, for the past 4 years, we created Lxias. It's the League of Extraordinary Innovators and Strategists. So it stands for Lxias. And we started investing in our own team. So if you have an idea and you're doing well, we'll go in as a partners or advisory board, even if we don't take from your profit. We just like the idea. And we started coming up with so many startups to invest in. And this idea built this, I wouldn't say cult, but this thing where it's a given culture that Longe Black invests in their team. And if you have a proper idea, within some time, they'll invest in you and they'll actually do a business for you. And we created for now 6 different cash positive businesses. So we're always so self-investing, which created this internal affairs where it's not just Samman and Noor, and now actually we have Nadine as our third partner. It's about that us all together are so invested in our team that we have Lxias and we have now 6 different businesses, and we're actually so invested in it that even the culture goes as little as that our office boy has a mini kiosk in our own office that he sells as a mini businessman in our own business. So it runs in the DNA. So the whole idea is, I believe one of the biggest downfalls is people with growing, they grow too big or lose too much or dilute too much of their business, that they just end up having no, I wouldn't say vision, but I'll just go for getting so lost across the way. It's one of a lot, but this is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. Do you think that the luxury market or industry in general, that kind of stage, do you think it will be affected by technology? Like, for example, Nokia was something at one point and then it became something else, or Kodak was something and now I don't know where it is, but on the luxury industry or the luxury market, do you think technology would have an effect in downfall of certain luxury? Do you think for example, the values that Generation Z and now soon Generation Alpha and all of that, they have different expectations from the brand, ethical expectations or other kind of expectations when it comes to environment and all of that. Do you think that would be a reason for the downfall?
I think, no, I don't think it's a downfall. I think there will be plate tectonics. I think there will be some changes in the market. AI changed a lot in the market, but I don't think it will, I wouldn't say replace the positioning of luxury experiences. I know Gen Z are closer to not caring than actually caring about luxury experiences. They're more they're very fast track. They like fast fashion, but on the other side, the whole concept of building emotional connection with a brand and this luxury experience is exclusivity. So
Yes.
Patek, they don't sell a watch. They merely give it to you so you can give it to your daughter as something that she inherits.
True.
So this story is what's gonna live. So you can think there's so many Apple watches that are cool, but the only thing you'll cry seeing and remember your mother is the Patek. So there's a definite I'll say there's script that will always reveal, no matter actually luxury or luxury, it doesn't have to specifically be something so posh. It just can be something you don't need, something an extra thing that you'll invest in money other than necessities. And this is why I think now luxury will be time, will be having peace of mind. Luxury doesn't have to always be more money. It can be some unacquirable things. So having
Yes.
a one-on-one with your daughter in a proper place where you can build a core memory, it can be a luxury. So all I'm saying is I think the terminologies will differ, but the behavior will always stay the same.
Will be different. You know, we're winding down. So I want to
Yes,
wind down with a different type of brand, and that
sure.
is a personal brand. Now, you are someone, as I said, who have very clearly anybody who follows you on the social media, anybody who follows your work, sees the press that comes out about you, about your partners, about Longe Black. They know your brand. You know, you're a disruptor. You are someone who is very much a person who thinks outside the box. You're a person who in your industry has redefined certain principles. That's very clear in your personal brand. How important is it for the clients that you work with and the different industries that you work with that the founders have a strong personal brand?
Again, personal branding is such a debate, and it's
Yeah.
such a topic. And again, the whole industry, the science of it is actually debatable. يعني حتى وجهات النظر, even the points of perspectives is even debatable. But I'll tell you where things get interesting. Noor, my partner and the CEO, he barely is there. You'd barely hear him talk. You'd barely see an interview. Nadine has been actually nagging for him to start being seen, and yet you have no idea how this guy is operating. Actually, because here's the interesting part: we're 60 plus team of 60 plus employees, and that's a business, and he's managing all of this, and he's having this harmony and balance between business and strategy and equity and naming, and it's such a it's a play.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets interesting. Noor's personal branding is that he doesn't talk that much. He is the operator, and he's known to my clients for that, and they respect him for that. Maybe the team does not see him, but you have no idea on a client basis how critical he is in the meeting.
Yeah,
And the same,
because
yes,
personal brand is reputation. So that's his reputation.
and this is, yes, exactly. So I
Okay.
believe the more genuine, and my clients believe, they say سمنت ما بتجاملش ودايما عفوي على طبعك. So
Yeah,
you're known for that.
you don't give compliments, and you're
Definitely.
very direct to the point. Yeah.
And you're a bit too direct, and this is exactly, but this, I'm not trying to fake it. I'm always like that with my team and with my clients.
Yeah.
So when you're having this harmony of being true to yourself, people don't judge you for it, because they'll definitely judge you both ways. But all I'm saying is they don't harshly judge you for it, because they just know this is who you are, and you're not trying to fake it. So if you're always a junkie food, and you like junk food, and you're always you're into having fast food, if you go on your Instagram and go like, listen, I'm having my 3 boiled egg breakfast, your parents are probably going to go say you're lying. So the whole point of trying to fake your kind of lifestyle does not build this trust. And what was so important to us, that we wanted to make sure that within our community we actually walk the talk. So whenever we were given this chance of, listen, I'm willing to bet you, I'll actually pay you double your ask if you actually stick to your KPIs. If I wouldn't go and say, sure, I'll take this challenge, then he's not walking the talk. So you have to have this part in you. Then if you're trying to say I'm a disruptor, then you have to keep on being a disruptor. It doesn't work this way. So when you find Azuz, which is our office boy, such a handsome gentleman who has his own family, and mashallah, he just got his daughter, you want to make sure that you're still doing what you're saying. You want to make sure that he has his own brand. This is why actually we're now switching our offices, and I insisted on my design team to brand his kiosk, to have like a
a proper shop
like
kind of thing.
Yeah. And this is exactly why I'm telling you, it runs in you. You want people to see it. So when someone of my clients walk to me, and this has happened, and they go like, "That's so cool. You have a branded kiosk?" I'm like, no, we don't have it. This is what Azuz owns, you know.
Yeah.
So this is, so they go, now you guys definitely, you know, you do what you say, and this is what I'm telling you. I believe your personal branding starts when people can easily recognize what you stand for. They know you, they know your heart, they know exactly what you stand for.
Yeah, yes. And you also touched on another point, which is the importance of founders when they have teams to assist them and guide them and even like push them to build their individual brands.
Definitely.
Because that will in the end add up to the organization as a whole. This is amazing. And like really, I can talk to you for ages, Samman, but thank you so much for touching on something that I really wanted to talk to you for a long time, which is the world of luxury branding and the potential that we as a region, for example, the MENA region, that we have to export. We have the products and we have the people and we have the expertise to export from local to global in terms of brands. And I see your vision and I see everything. Of course, all the details for Samman will be in the show notes. Is there anything that you would like to leave us before we wrap up?
I want to thank you so much. Very few people, ashhad lahum, I witnessed that they've been very interested in such domain. I've known you for nearly 3 years now.
Yes.
And it has been such a humbling thing to actually respect the technology and this global network effect of being here in Egypt and you being across the globe the other way around and having such conversation. And for that, I thank you so much for the invite. I've been getting so many requests to do my own show at some stage.
You should.
And if I do, I'd want to physically invite you for you to actually be in our studio and have a talk. You're one of the most inspiring people I've met in this industry.
Thank you.
And for that, I thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye.
As you can see, this week's episode is different and it's exceptional. And that's because the guest is exceptional. I really urge you to follow Samman's trailblazing journey. It's masterful, it's different, and it will bring new perspective to the luxury market within the MENA region as a whole. Of course, all links to Moe Samman and how to connect with him are in the show notes. And with this, I would like to thank you for joining me this week. Thank you for listening or watching. If you found this episode valuable, share it with a friend or a colleague or anyone who will receive the value from it. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and do leave a review if you haven't already. Till next week, don't forget to keep making waves. Bye for now.